What's going on, everybody? And this is your girl Leah B, and I welcome you to the latest episode of In the Mix, where I provide a history lesson on all your favorite genres of music. So let's get into the episode. So this episode is going to be the last episode in the hip hop series, because the next time I'm going to bring R&B. So I'm more so an R&B head than I am a hip hop head. So I can't wait until you guys hear what I'm going to do with the R&B portion of the podcast. So I'm just extremely excited about all what's to come with the episodes and the R&B episodes and the gospel episodes, things of that nature. So I am extremely excited. So yeah, like I was saying before, this is the last episode in the hip hop installment. So with the first episode, I talked about the history, where it got started, the origins, and now I'm going to end it on a note where how the hip hop movement not only impacted America, but it impacted the world. So, like I mentioned before, people thought, hip hop was going to be this like passing phase, like it was just going to disappear within a year. People thought like, oh, this hip hop rap music was just trash, like completely dismal. Like it was just gonna be, what is up with especially the older people? They were like, what is this hippity hop hop? What is this mess? I'd rather listen to jazz in my R&B. This is just mismal. That's as the old people say. But they did not know that hip hop was going to last this long. Nearly 40 years later, it's still here to stay. Not only it provided an escape for the youth in the Bronx, but it provided a escape for everyone across America. So it was like an escapism with all what was going on in the world. I mean, in America, with the violence in the inner cities, just all that stuff. So it went from black parties to the world stage. So hip hop music has reached the cultural corridors of the globe, and it has been absorbed and reinvented multiple times around the world. Hip hop music expanded beyond the US, often blending local styles of that particular countries with hip hop. Hip hop has globalized into many cultures worldwide and is evident through the emergence of regional scenes as well. It merged globally as a movement based on the main tenets of the hip hop culture. Like I mentioned in the last episode, the very first episode, I talked about that. The music and art continue to embrace and even celebrate its transnational dimensions while staying true to the local cultures, which has been, rooted. Hip hop's impact differs depending on each culture, of course. But one thing virtually about hip hop, all hip hop artists worldwide, what they have in common is they acknowledge the black movement. They didn't forget where they came from, especially in New York. Not just black people, but Latinos and the Caribbean culture, all that played a role in the early development of hip hop, and the style spread to almost every country across the world. As you know, hip hop began in the South Bronx, which has the highest, I think, the highest Latino population, mostly the Puerto Rican population, of course. And most of the rappers that you hear today are of Puerto Rican descent, like, Big Pun, Fat Joe, Angie Martinez, even though she's a radio host, she had like one hit. Also, another group, Cypress Hill, they're Latino too. And a bunch of Mexican rock groups like Control, Machete. I've never heard of them, but they became popular in Mexico, and in many Latin American countries, as in the United States. Hip hop has been a tool to help with their struggle in that particular country. But hip hop grew more steadily and more popular in Cuba, especially in the 80s and the 1990s, through whatever it was going on in Cuba with Castro, Fidel Castro, and also, and during that time they had a financial crisis, economic crisis as well, which led to the poorest black in populations, especially in hip hop. So hip hop was a way for Cuba to embrace their blackness and articulate a demand for racial equality among the people in Cuba. So, as you know, there is it was a dictator type leadership in Cuba with Fidel Castro. So the idea of being pro-black and black liberation was frowned upon with the Cuban government. So when hip hop came to Cuba, the Cuban government opposed the vulgar image of hip hop. As you know, it was very, by that time, by the 80s, it was very, in the 1990s, it was very vulgar and violent and just it wasn't like how it once when it first started. It was about having fun and coming together and stuff like that. So it was still operating under the idea of a raceless society. So so hip hop was a form of expression for the Cuban people. The Cuban rappers who were popular during that time, they was they were well, I noticed when I was doing my research, hip hop was used as, it's still used to this day as a sign of outspokenness, social justice, things of that sort. And rappers in Cuba was using the hip hop movement to speak their mind against um, the Cuban government. And also, they during like the 90s, they would throw an annual Cuban hip hop concert. In the it was became it started in '95, and it popularized the hip hop movement in that country. Caribbean islands have been using hip hop for decades, and it was used as a tool to discuss race and class issues in those particular countries. But one country that became extremely influenced by hip hop was Brazil. Brazilian hip hop is heavily associated with racial and economic issues in the country, where a lot of Afro Brazilians live. They live in they're economically disadvantaged communities, also known in Brazil as fatas. San Pablo is where Brazilian hip hop began, and it soon spread it all throughout the country, and all in almost every Brazilian city, including Rio de Janeiro, El Salvador. I mean, I'm sorry, not El Salvador, Salvador, Cotabal, Cotablata. Forgive me, my Latino brothers and sisters. Spanish is not my first language, so I might be messing up the pronunciation of these countries. So fair warning if I mess up the pronunciation of these cities or groups or whatever. Spanish is not my first language, so I apologize. Porto Boto Horizone, Refe, and Brasilia. Those cities have like a local hip hop scene. And the most popular artist that came out of that country was the Radical MCs, Marco Deo, and one of the most popular rappers that came out of Brazil was MV Bill. And his whole career was based on advocating for black youth in that country throughout Rio de Janeiro. Another style of music that came out of Puerto Rico was reggaeton. Reggaeton. I thought it was actually in Jamaica, but I did not know that it was Puerto Rican. It was a Puerto Rican style of music, and has similarities to hip hop in the United States as well. Both were influenced by Jamaican music, and they both incorporate rapping and call response, the reggaeton. Dance, another form of hip hop, is dance hall, and hip hop from the United States were both popular in Brazil, popular in Puerto Rico as well. Reggaeton is a combination of different musical traditions founded by Afro descended people in the Caribbean and the United States. Some of reggaeton's popular artists were Don Omar, Tego Calderton, and Daddy Yankee. I know you know who Daddy Yankee is. He's like extremely popular to this day. And another country that is heavily influenced by hip hop, the hip hop movement, and hip hop music as well, is Venezuela. So, social during that time of the 80s and 90s, social injustice was very prominent in that country. And it concluded with the rise of gangster rap in the U.S. And also gangster rap became popular in that country as well. The Venezuelan rappers in the 90s molded their music after gangster rap during that time, and they embraced in attempting to redefine the negative stereotypes about black youth being dangerous and materialistic, and incorporating like a social conscious critique of Venezuela's criminalization among black and Afro descended people into their music. Haiti also became heavily influenced by hip hop as well. They started their hip hop origins in the 80s as well, just like we did in the US. And the popular people in that group, for Haiti, was a Master DJ, and he became extremely popular during the rise of Haitian hip hop. He was like, I guess you can say he was the inventor of hip hop in Haiti. Haitian hip hop also became a way for artists of the Haitian backgrounds to express their national identity and political opinions of the country. The rappers embraced the red and blue of the flag of Haiti, and rapping in Creole, Haitian Creole, was to display their national origin as well. Excuse me. Also in the Caribbean islands, Dominican Republic was heavily influenced by hip hop as well. Their music was called it's called merengue rap. So it's a fusion of hip hop and merengue. I apologize. I cannot say yeah, I apologize, y'all, to all my my Spanish brothers and sisters. Spanish is not my language. Sorry. All right. In Europe, Africa, and Asia, hip hop began to move from the underground to the mainstream. In Europe, hip hop was the domain for both ethnic nationalists and immigrants. British hip hop became its own genre of music. The popular British artist was Wiley Dizzy, Radical, The Streets, and many more. Germany had their own flavor of music as well. Turkey, France, Amsterdam, they had their own style of music as well. Let's see who else. Romania, they had a group named the Bug Mafia, and they were more geared towards gangster rap as well. And but British is like basically the big Britain is basically the biggest throughout Europe. Is the biggest country to known hip hop, to have hip hop, I should say. And there was a certain genre of music called grime. It's a genre of music derived from the UK garage and bass, drum and bass. Genre that grime music was influenced by hip hop as well. That merged into the early 2000s, and the group at that time named Dizzy and Radical. That's when they became successful with their music as well. Although it has been immensely popular, many British politicians work for the UK hip hop as well. Like not many politicians aren't either. Period. So they think that British the politicians see that rap is promoting theft and murder and things of that nature, and also the criticisms also deemed racist by the Black British Grime Society. The genre grime has had a major impact on British fashion and pop music as well, especially among the young working class youth, emulating clothing worn by the grim stars like Dizzy, Radical, and Wiley. There's many subgenres of grime, including rhythm and grime. Rhythm and grime is a mix of R&B and grime, and Grindle, a mix of indie rock and grime, popularized by indie rock band by this. I'm not about to pronounce this German group. And in Germany and France, gangster rap has become popular among youth. who love violent, like violent, aggressive lyrics and whatnot. And most of these German artists are openly Nazis and whatnot. It's terrible. And another continent where hip hop expanded to was Asia. It became extremely popular in the Philippines by a guy named Francis Mangola. Another guy named Rap Asia, MC Laura, and Lady Diane. But the country that became extremely popular with the hip hop in Asia is Japan. It was more so like underground. During that time, it wasn't very mainstream. It was still known as underground rap in Japan. So what was making it popular was the teen idols there in Japan. It was called J-Rap, and it became real popular. It even topped the charts in the middle of the 90s, like the mid 90s and everything. Another part of the Asian continent was in East Asia, India, where hip hop music has become fused with popular local music to form different styles of K-pop. As you know, K-pop is Korean pop. That's extremely popular now too. So it's K-pop, C-pop, and J-pop. Another country that you never thought would be listening to hip hop music is just amazing to me is Israel. Israel's hip hop grew in popularity at the end of the 90s. They're from Palestine and Israel. The guy's name was Tamar Nafar, and another Israeli group named Subliminal. Portugal was another country. It had its own unique genre as well, but their music was more on the political scene and underground as well. Their names, the artists there was Vatel, Dilemma, and Halloween. And another country in Europe that became popular was Russia. They had their own little sense of style as well. It emerged during the last years of the Soviet Union, and they became popular during the 90s with their style of music. Yugoslavia was like the first hip hop. They had Yugoslavia hip hop was first appeared in the 80s, mostly with so it became popular in the 80s as well. And the last country that became popular among was Tanzania. They didn't become their hip hop didn't start until like the early 2000s. Tanzania started Afrobeat, and they would mix melodies, Arabic-esque melodies like dance hall, hip hop beats with Swahili lyrics. And yeah, hip hop will always live on forever. So I appreciate you guys. That is it with the hip hop genre series. I apologize if this podcast is all over the place. This episode is all over the place. So I apologize for that. It's going to be a little more polished with the R&B. So this was like a little quick episode. So I apologize if it's going to sound, messed up to you. But I just wanted to, throw something out there, get this out the way. And I just want to say I thank you guys for listening. I'm glad you guys are still rocking with me. I'm glad you enjoy what I do. I'm just happy that you guys love what I do. I'm glad that you guys, are still here rocking with me. I may not get as many followers or whatever, but I'm glad you are listening. If you just listen maybe 5 minutes, I'm glad you guys are listening. I'm glad you enjoy what I talk about. And I enjoy bringing history to the mainstream, music history, because a lot of people don't know their music history. So I'm glad you guys are rocking with me. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I'm going to eventually put up a website and bring you it from there. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys want to keep in touch with me, I'm on Instagram. The podcast is on Instagram. It's In The Mix. So it's In The Mix with Leah B. And I'm also on Facebook. That's In The Mix with Leah B as well. So look me up. I'm on all podcasts, all streaming services. And eventually I'm going to put this on YouTube. So I'm going to start uploading my podcast episodes on YouTube and everything like that. So be on the lookout for that. So you don't have to worry about, finding the podcast. It's going to be put together once I get the website together. So with that being said, I thank you for listening. Thank you for rocking with me. I appreciate you and enjoy you. So enjoy this podcast episode. I love you to death. So with that being said, thank you for listening. Peace and love.